Hello Booktube, it's Joshua here, and today I'm going to be doing a book tag. I'm doing the mid-year book freakout tag 2025, which is just, I believe, a kind of check-in of how your reading life has been for the first half of the year. And I was tagged by Book Chat with Pat. She tagged me, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago now. So I've been slow to get to that. So sorry about that. But now I'm doing this a little bit late, but I'm doing it. And yeah, I have my answers here and ready to go, and some books ready to go. And yeah, so I'll get started. So the first prompt is best book you've read so far. So the best book that I've read so far this year, I would say, and there have been, I found it hard to choose. There have been some really good books, but I would say that the best book so far was one that I just finished reading, Persuasion by Jane Austen. I just read this with another booktuber, Andrew from the channel You Could Be Reading More, and we read it over. Well, I took longer to read it. I took like 5 days to read it, and Andrew read it in probably 2 days because he's a lot quicker than me. But I still enjoyed this so much. It was a really amazing experience. Honestly, I was my eyes were glued to the story the whole time. It has probably been the most involving experience I've had all year. So, and that is why I put this as the best book of the year so far. The other contender would have been The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. But I guess my impressions of this are still so recent and vivid, so I chose this one. It was just amazing. So the second prompt is best sequel you've read so far. Well, I don't usually read too many sequels. Yeah, I tend not to read. I tend not to, only gravitate towards series, or anything like that. But I did read one sequel this year, and that was Dune Messiah. And I actually also buddy read that book with a commenter and a friend, Frank. We buddy read it over Storygraph, and that was just not that wasn't too long ago either. I think that was just a couple weeks ago as well, and that was a really wonderful experience. Dune Messiah was really, the plot was incredibly intense and involving, and um yeah, I feel like Frank Herbert, he just pulls you along on the story the entire time and doesn't let you go. So yeah, that was a really good book. Three, new releases you haven't read yet but want to. So these new release questions are a little bit difficult for me because I don't usually pay too much attention to the new release market. But of course, I do watch Steve Donahue's channel, and I always read Open Letters reviews. So I do have some books on my mind, and uh, right now I'm trying to get into the Renaissance, to learn a bit more about the Italian Renaissance. I'm just beginning on that. And I heard that Steve really liked one new book about the Renaissance called "Inventing the Renaissance" by Ada Palmer. And so apparently I think it takes a kind of uh, different view, maybe a kind of irreverent view towards the traditional narrative of the Italian Renaissance. And so I would like to read that. Probably not anytime soon. I want to read some more traditional histories of the Italian Renaissance first, and I'll get to that. I'll get to some of the ones that I want to read later on in this video. But yeah, I would like to read that because Steve said it was really good, and so I think that would be interesting to read. Um, Number four, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And for this, I wrote down I have no idea, because I don't really know what is coming out. I don't know exactly where to look for that, and I mean, right now I'm still mainly just trying to read like the classics and whatever else that interests me that probably has been published many years ago. And so yeah, I'm not really in the whole book the whole new releases book market, so I can't really say. Biggest disappointment. Yes, five is the biggest disappointment. And I wrote down that I haven't had one yet. Which is true. I haven't really read a bad book, I would say. Um, a part of that might just be because I follow Steve's recommendations, and or I just learn, or I just read classics, books that already have such uh, great reputations that I'm unlikely to find them, like super badly written or anything. So I haven't really had I haven't really had a disappointment yet. Um, Six, biggest surprise. And that one is easy. That one was the Life of Birds by David Attenborough. I read this one a month or two ago, and it was the very first nature book I've ever written, read. It was the very first nature book I've ever read, and it was so good. I really want to read more nature books, hopefully soon. I haven't read another one since, but I really want to. I really want to read more by David Attenborough, and more by other writers too. I want to read some Barry Lopez, and I do have actually. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to find it. But I have a book called Pilgrim at Tinker Creek. Is that what it's called? But I have that on my shelf back there, and I would really like to read that as well. Uh, Seven, favorite new author, debut or new to you? Well, one author that is new to me, but who is not a debut author, is Miles J. Unger, who is an Italian Renaissance historian, and I read his book Magnifico, which is a biography of Lorenzo de Medici, uh, and it was really good. It was really involving. Unger, I think, really knows how to tell a story. He knows how to milk some of the drama that is in the life of the Medici, and he's also really good at explaining to some of the more. He's really good at explaining to the political system of Florence in a really friendly way, and so I really enjoyed that, and I really want to read more by Unger. I know he wrote a book on Machiavelli, and he also wrote a biography of Michelangelo, and I really want to read both of those. Uh, so yeah, eight is newest fictional crush. Yeah, newest fictional crush. And I don't really have a newest fictional crush. I don't really have crushes on characters. So nine, newest favorite character. I can answer this one. And I'm gonna go back to Persuasion by Jane Austen. And the character, of course, is Anne Elliot. Um, Again, another contender for favorite character would have been Hans Castorp from the Magic Mountain, but he's not new to me. I read the Magic Mountain in 2024, and then I reread it this year, so he's not new to me. So I can't really include him. And so I chose Anne Elliot, who is an amazing character. She's she's a very introverted, quiet character, but also extremely intelligent and really wonderful to spend time with on the page. And yeah, and she's also so bookish. There are some scenes in here where she, like the scenes where she has a conversation with Captain Benwick, one of the side characters, and they're both fairly introverted people, and they're both very bookish. And Jane Austen writes about how they talk about poetry. They talk about Lord Byron and Sir Walter Scott, and I just found those little scenes, even though they weren't really part of the main plot, I found them so delightful, and it made me love this book. It charmed me all the more, and so that is the reason why I love Anne Elliot. So 10, a book that made you cry. I don't think any books made me cry this year. I don't think it's a usual response for me to cry. It'd have to be a very emotionally impactful book, and even, I mean, a lot of these books that I read this year have been emotionally impactful, but not that much, I guess. 11, a book that made you happy. Well, I think all the books that I've read have made me happy, or almost all at least. Um, but I'll mention a couple. Again, I'll mention Persuasion. That made me very, very happy. Especially just the ending. It was done so well. The plot was done so well. And also, wait, where is it? Here it is. Also, one book that was really delightful when I read it, and I read it 3-4 months ago now. I read Ursula K. Le Guin's poetry collections titled Finding My Elegy. And the reason why I chose this specifically was because I just find that with Ursula K. Le Guin, well, first of all, I feel like she's one of the few modern poets who writes poetry that actually makes sense. And for that reason, I just find her even more delightful. And also, in Finding My Elegy, there's really an amazing variety of stuff that she writes about. She writes all about animals and about art and about all these different aspects of life. And I find that variety to be really, I found it to be really wonderful to explore. And that's why I chose this book specifically for making me happy, even though all of them did as well. 12. Favorite book to film adaptation you saw this year? Well, I haven't watched too many adaptations. I tend not to watch too many films. I mean, I really like watching movies. I really like it, but whenever I sit down to one, I always think, well, I could be reading instead, so why don't I just read? um, but I do watch movies sometimes, especially when I'm at my dad's, and we watch movies together, and we often watch like classics, and it's a lot of fun. Um, but this the one that I'm going to mention is a different story of how I discovered it. I watched the film adaptation of A Streetcar Named Desire, the one with Marlon Brando in it, and that was well. First, before I watched that, there was a play. There was a performance of A Streetcar Named Desire in my city, and I went. I went 3 times to watch it because I just found it to be so compelling. I've actually never read the book form of A Streetcar Named Desire, but I got kind of curious about it and I went to watch it, and it was so moving. Um, yeah, I just and so after I went to see the play version, um, after I went to see the play version, I watched the movie with the movie adaptation with my dad, and actually, I thought the movie adaptation wasn't quite as good as the play version. Although it's hard for me to tell because I haven't really read the book version, but the actress for Blanche, the actress for Blanche, in the play version that I watched, she was so good. She was just amazing. She played the role with so much humor, but with like so much sympathy as well, and it was a heartbreaking experience. Um, and I didn't like I partially also didn't like the film adaptation of A Streetcar Named Desire because uh, there was censorship going on there, which I thought made the story less good. Um, because they just censored some details that I thought if they weren't exactly essential to the story, they were still important and they still I think fleshed out some of the characters a lot more. But they just censored it kind of annoyingly. Uh, so I guess in that sense, it isn't my favorite film adaptation, but I just wanted to talk about it, and I don't usually watch too many film adaptations anyway. So yeah, 13. Favorite review you've written this year, or the booktube version is favorite video you've made this year. And actually, been I've been practicing recently. I've been practicing writing reviews, uh, and this has been kind of a new development, because I've actually been reading the book reviews of Daniel Nagel, another booktuber here. And I think if you go on his channel and you scroll down a bit, you'll find his Substack post, and you can subscribe to that because he's been writing reviews on Substack, and I read them, and I kind of got inspired to start writing reviews because of that as well. So I've written 2 reviews just recently. One of them was on the book Magnifico by Miles J. Unger, and then another one was a review of Persuasion by Jane Austen on Substack as well. So I especially enjoyed writing the review for Magnifico. I actually got a lot of enjoyment out of that. Also for the booktube version though, for my favorite video, I don't actually my answer for that one is that I don't really have a favorite video that I made this year because I don't really put much effort into my videos. I I just record, and then I do the barest amount of editing as possible, and then I just put it out there. And so there's no like there's no pro I don't think any of my videos are actually any like cinematic projects or anything. So I can't really claim to be proud, or to be yeah, I can't really claim to be proud of making any of my videos. So I have no answer for that. Okay, number 14. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. And this is very easy. The most beautiful book that I received this year, it was the Riverside Shakespeare. Pat from Book Chat with Pat, the same person who tagged me in this tag, she sent this to me all the way from America, and she yeah, I mean she sent me this Riverside Shakespeare, and it's by far the most beautiful book I've gotten this year. I mean, I just love I love this outer part here, and it's also definitely going to be the most useful book I've received as well, because I've only read a handful of Shakespeare's plays, and so at some point I'm gonna have to really do a deep dive into Shakespeare, and this will definitely be the copy I go to. So yeah. 15. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? So I could list like a billion books here, but I'll mention two. Yeah, I'll mention two. One book is a book that I started reading a couple months ago, and then I think, well, I went traveling, and then that kind of killed all the momentum, and then I started reading something else, and I just forgot about it. But it was so good, and I got about 200 pages into it. But I'm not reading it anymore, so I need to pick it back up this year, hopefully. And that is Black Lamb and Grey Falcon by Rebecca West. So I read the first 200 pages of this, or no, only 160 pages, really. I got this far into it. And it's a brick, first of all. The thing's huge, but it's so good. Oh, so, I mean, so far, I'm learning so much about the history and the culture of former Yugoslavia, and all the political tensions that were plaguing it at the time. And also, like, one thing that I've noticed so far in this is the the shadow of World War II looming over it, because this was written in 1937. And yeah, I mean, and Rebecca West's style is so it's amazing. She writes so learnedly and so involvingly. It's really amazing. But I just stopped reading it. I don't know why I stopped reading it. It's ridiculous. This was shaping up to be so good, but I just lost all my momentum. So I need to get back to this. I don't want to just like put this down forever and never get to it. So hopefully I can pick this back up again sometime soon. And one other book that I would like to read this year is The Renaissance by Will and Ariel Durant. I mentioned earlier in the video that I wanted to read Inventing the Renaissance by Ada Palmer. Well, first I'd probably want to read the more traditional one, and this is probably the more traditional one that I would want to read. Alongside, I mean, I would also really like to try reading the History of the Renaissance by Burckhardt, which, from what I hear, was like a very fundamental work of history in establishing scholarship for the Italian Renaissance, I think. And then I also want to read John Addington Symonds' like 7-8 part history of the Italian Renaissance as well. I have all of these in my mind, and it will probably take me a lot longer than I would like to read to get to all of them, but I have them all kind of in the back of my head, and I want to read them all. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, the last tag is to tag. The last prompt is to tag others, and I feel like I've done this pretty late, and a lot of others have already done it, so I'm not going to tag anybody else. But if you're seeing this and you haven't done this yet, feel free to consider yourself tagged. Just say Joshua tagged you in your own video, and or just say you saw my video, or just do the tag, and that's fine. So yeah, anyway, that'll be all. Thank you, BookTube, and goodbye.